Disney, where did you go? Because for your past 3 films, it's been miss after miss, and now with Moana 2, it's been another miss. Yes, Moana 2 is now out. The movie that was supposed to be a Disney Plus show, but then turned into a movie. Now they could have changed it for 2 reasons. A really solid movie that they think deserves to be a movie instead of a show, or a nameless cash grab. Well, let's dive into it. Now, my main positive here, the animation. The animation is beautiful. They paid attention to every just minor detail. Sand, water, landscape. They paid attention to every single detail of it, and the animation just comes off as just realistic. It looks beautiful. I could take a screenshot from any scene in this movie and just hang it on the wall. The first 2 songs in here were Back and Beyond, the 2 best songs of the whole movie. I will dive into the rest of the songs, but these first 2 songs in here are the 2 songs out of this entire movie that I will find myself listening to in the car or something. Because the soundtrack for the original Moana film is iconic. It is probably some of the best music we've gotten from Disney in a long time. Moana 2, although I do like these first 2 songs, they do not live up to the hype of the original soundtrack, but these 2 songs are the only songs I find myself listening to, just on a basis. The only ones that I find myself actually memorizing, because I normally like to memorize Disney songs, because I just like Disney like that. And these are the only 2 out of this movie that I find it worth my time to listen to it again, because they were the only 2 that I enjoyed. And just returning to the world, returning to these characters again. It's nice to see Moana back on the screen again, nice to see Maui back on the screen again, and nice to see the world back on the screen again. We get more Hey, we get the pig in this one this time. We even get an introduction of Moana's sister, which is probably one of the best new characters of the movie. Now it's really nice just to return to this world. It's nice to see these characters again, even if the movie was bad. So let's dive into that. This movie messed up entirely. The movie is just a huge, massive step down from the first movie. And I was going into the movie expecting that. I was not expecting this movie to top that one or even come close to the scale of the original Moana movie. And I still came out heavily disappointed with the movie. Just everything. It's just a massive step down. The songs, writing, just everything. I'll dive into it all right now. But it's just a huge step down from that movie. Entirely. Songs. I did say I'll come back to the songs. Besides the first 2 in there were Back and Beyond, the songs in here are bad. Maui's song, the one The Rock sings. We got You're Welcome in the first movie. This one we get Chi-Hu. Chi-Hu? Where does Chi-Hu come from? And before I watched the movie, I looked at the soundtrack. I clicked on this song to listen to it. Didn't like it either. And in the context of the movie, it's even worse. Some of these songs, they don't rhyme that well. They're not as bad as Wish, as some are, rhyming-wise. Like, some of these songs do not rhyme. Like Chi-Hu, for example. They rhyme, but with the worst possible words you could use. Doomsday rhymes with Tuesday. Doomsday, that's the best word you could think of that rhymes with Tuesday? There's also a villain song in here. Better, I like the way the actress sings it, but it runs into the same problem again. Rhyming? What? Speaking of the villain, if I even say villain, the human villain in here, they kind of have a plot introduced, but then it's never really tackled. They kind of forget about the character. The character just felt like they didn't need to be in the movie. It just felt like that. Felt like they were just forced in here. Like I said, this was supposed to be a Disney Plus show, so kind of feels like they're kind of setting up a season 2 of that, so we could be getting a Moana 3 down the line.
No! God, please, no!
Which, if it's anything like this...
No!
Yeah, just the human villain. I'm putting quotes around villain because they're not really a villain. Forced into this story. The song feels forced into the story. It just feels like you could have taken this entire part out, and we would have been fine. This was a terrible human character as the villain. And I also talked about Chi-Hu, the Rock song. Let's talk about him. You messed up Maui. How do you mess up Maui? His humor sucks. His humor is just breaking the fourth wall. The rest of the jokes they forced into here don't land. Just feel forced. It is forced comedy from Maui. And you do not want that from Maui. Also from Maui, he doesn't meet Moana till the last 30 minutes of the film. So the entire runtime, you're missing Maui, who is a key character in the first movie, might remind you that. He doesn't show up until halfway through the second act and right before the final act. Speaking of the characters, the new characters that Moana takes with her on her boat journey, they're not great either. We don't really get enough screen time with them to really appreciate them, which is the problem here. Because why should I care for these characters when not even bothering to show them on screen that much? Why should I care about these new cast of characters if you don't care about them? And the story in here is completely rushed. The story is rushed. Like I said, there's this middle portion with that human villain part they could have easily taken it out. It did not need to be there. Take that out. Focus on the main story significantly better. Yes, I do know that Moana has to come across obstacles before she gets to her main thing. You can get better obstacles though. In the first movie, you had the crab who sings Shining at Maui's hook. That was before they even came across the lava monster. Have obstacles like that the characters have to go through first before they can go on their main journey. No, but because we wasted our runtime, by the time we do get to the final act, there's some unanswered questions. I was so confused with some things they did, I can't really say anything after that. Something happens to certain characters that are just brushed aside and resolved. Characters learn something, finish their character arcs, in a way, if you could call it character arcs, because none of these characters really have character arcs either. But once we wrap up the character arcs, we go right back to fighting. There's no time to pause, take a breather, and figure out a plan. They go right back into it. The whole thing's rushed. You could have taken your time with the characters, fleshed them out so you understand the arcs by the end of the movie, actually have character arcs. Maui doesn't really go through a character arc either. The whole thing just felt rushed. Which is also confusing to me because this was supposed to be a Disney Plus show. So how is all these problems still here? What this obviously was though, is the cash grab. They saw the numbers from Moana from last year. They saw the numbers it did on Disney Plus, and they're like, hey, you know what would be a great idea if we turned the show we've been working on, that was supposed to be a show, and turn it into a movie so you can make an easy $1 billion, because this movie is going to make $1 billion. I feel like that's just a fact. It's going to make $1 billion. Which is why it was turned into a movie, because obviously it's going to make $1 billion. It's an easy money maker. Let's just turn it into that. I see the perspective from a studio's mind, but if you ask me, this should have stayed on Disney Plus, not even touched the big screen, because now you have another massive bad movie for Disney. Strange World, Wish, and now Moana 2. Next movie on their list is Zootopia 2. You better not mess up Zootopia 2, Disney. So if you ask me, don't waste your time with Moana 2. When it hits Disney Plus, you can watch it if you want, but if you ask me, avoid it. You do not need to be watching Moana 2. Huge disappointment, huge scale down, and just a ton of problems they had with their writing. Characters suck. Don't really have character arcs in here. I've seen some people enjoy it online. Well, it has a 70%, so obviously a good majority of people enjoyed it. I am not in that majority, and if you ask me, do not watch Moana 2. Anyways, that was my review for Moana 2. If you like this video, maybe my Disney ranking, yeah, all 63 Disney movies ranked, could interest you, or this video down here. But with that, thanks for watching.